Welcome back to Not Exactly Martha, the podcast for anyone who's ever named a house plant, screamed at a baking project, or looked into a jar of bubbling goo and thought, is it working or is it mold? I'm your host Kelly, and today we're talking about sourdough, specifically whether making your own starter is a beautiful life-affirming journey or a desperate cry for help. But seriously, there's some pros to making your own starter. You just need the ingredients you see here. A little bit of flour, a little bit of water, clean glass jar. For flour, we've got a half cup of King Arthur whole wheat, and we have a quarter cup of 85-degree water. We're gonna combine this in the jar, give it a good stir, put the lid on, and that's all there is to it for today. Of course, the key here is making sure you actually feed it every day for the next week or so. Not always my strong point traditionally. Not sure if you can see that, it's kind of sticky and gloopy. We're just gonna make sure that there's no dry flour sitting on the bottom of this jar, and then we're gonna put the lid on. And really, that's all there is to it. And then we'll check back in on it tomorrow. Okay, so there's also a couple of cons to trying to make your own starter. So you now have a dependent. You gotta feed it every day. Miss a day, guilt. Miss more than a day, smells like feet. It's a long game. It takes more than a week to whip up a starter. Making the bread takes a couple of hours. You're gonna start to question your life choices. And lastly, you might end up a bit obsessed. Suddenly you're talking about bulk fermentation at lunch. You're building proofing boxes out of Tupperware and a heating pad. You've become that person. Time for a listener story. This one's entitled The Sourdough That Broke Me. Beth from Michigan says, my starter was going great until it overtook the jar and exploded all over my fridge. I cleaned flour paste out of the veggie drawer for 2 weeks, but hey, the bread was delicious. Well, Beth, I'm glad at least you got some great bread out of it and a clean fridge. So if you've got a bag of flour and you're feeling adventurous, give homemade starter a try. But if the idea of babysitting some goo stresses you out, then borrow some from a friend. Or go to the bakery and buy a loaf from them and slap some butter on it like the queen you are. There's lots of different ways to enjoy sourdough, and I hope you've enjoyed listening to us today. Thanks for listening to Not Exactly Martha. If you've got a sourdough fail, win, or you named your starter something ridiculous, I want to hear about it. Drop me an email at kelly@notexactlymartha.com or tag me at notexactlymartha. Next week, we're going to talk about what happens when it's your turn to host book club and you have no idea what to feed people and you haven't read the book. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you soon. Until then, keep it crusty in a good way.